Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out this massive bearish divergence on the larger timeframes as the price is now perfectly running into this very important area of support in the shorter term that we need to pay attention to, while Ethereum is still playing out this bearish divergence in the shorter term, while the price of XRP is now getting close to breaking this new price pattern that we need to pay attention to, setting up new price targets. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, as I've been warning about every day for a month now on the channel, we have a significant bearish divergence already confirmed, already starting to play out for the price of Bitcoin, which means for the remainder of this month and leading into September, expect a larger slowdown, a lack in bullish momentum, and most likely a correction for the price of Bitcoin. Once again, I've been saying that every day for the last 1 month, and obviously it's starting to play out as expected. And so it does seem that more and more people are finally starting to believe me when I'm saying expect a correction near the end of August and leading into September, because it is now playing out. So once again, expect this to continue moving forward into September. We're most likely going to see a bit more of a correction, or at least a lack in bullish momentum. Don't expect significant high bullish momentum towards the upside, at least for now, for at least the next few weeks, maybe longer. And so not much has changed on this larger time frame here. It's still playing out as predicted. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're still seeing bearish momentum in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. Obviously, the histogram within the MACD indicator is still sitting in the red. So like I've been saying every day for the last few weeks, expect most likely some slight bearish price action. A bit of a pullback is a very likely outcome. And obviously, over the last couple of weeks, that has been playing out as predicted. So once again, this could likely continue a little longer, basically showing a lot of weakness here for maybe the next few weeks as a very likely scenario, lacking bullish momentum, because right now we simply do not have the bullish momentum at all. But obviously, as I've been saying every day as well during this pullback, I've been saying, yes, expect more of a pullback, a lot of weakness in the price, but yes, we can see short-term bullish moves from time to time during the larger slowdown, but these are very short-lasted moves, small moves in the price, not massive high momentum movements towards the upside. So overall, we're still in the slowdown, still in the pullback phase, not necessarily seeing a lot of bullish momentum. I want to make that clear. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, we still have the bearish divergence actively playing out on the daily Bitcoin price chart as well as the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So obviously, two major warning signals pointing towards a pullback. And of course, this has already been playing out as predicted over the last few weeks. But now that the price of Bitcoin is running into this important area of support here, the golden pocket area of support, sitting in between around 106.7K to 107.6K. In that area, we do have some key support to pay attention to. And for now, at least as of recording this video, we are currently finding support around this area with just a slight little bounce in the short term. And so it is entirely possible we could see a little bit more of a short-term bounce from this area of support here, as it is important support for the price. But once again, that's just a short-term bounce like what we saw here or here, for example, during a larger slowdown, or basically a correction in the price is what we're seeing right now for the price of Bitcoin. But obviously, maybe just in the immediate short term for another day or so, we may hold above this area with just a slight little bounce. But if the price of Bitcoin ultimately confirms a break below that area with candle closes below around 106,500, and if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, the next target, the next point of support to watch out for is at around 103,500, and below that we have some key support based on these candle closes right here, sitting at around 101,000. But if the price of Bitcoin does play out a little bit more of a bounce here in the short term, of course we have to pay attention to points of resistance where the price could possibly reject from. The first point I'll be watching is sitting at around 110,000, acting as key resistance. Above that, we have a very important level at roughly 112,000, and above that we have also more important resistance at around 117,000. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at just the 4-hour time frame, we can clearly see that the short-term trend is simply bearish. We're still forming lower highs and lower lows, and this short-term bearish trend is basically the larger slowdown or correction or pullback or whatever you want to call it on the larger timeframes. Once again, this is what I've been talking about every day since basically the beginning of August. I've been warning that later in August, second half of August leading into September, expect a pullback for a lot of the crypto market. And so as always, understand the difference between the different timeframes. The larger timeframes are still playing out over multiple weeks, if not months. The small timeframes are very short-term moves that play out maybe over just a few days and then quickly reverse. And so we can see here that's exactly what happened with this short-term bullish divergence. Now, to be completely honest, I expected this to maybe play out another one day and then play out this sort of move to ultimately continue with the larger pullback I've been saying over the last 1 month. But obviously we saw the pullback basically a day before what I was thinking. But either way, of course, over the last couple of days, I've been saying don't expect significant bullish momentum. Maybe we see just a slight bullish relief as a result of this bullish divergence, which we ended up seeing, but we saw no bullish momentum as expected to continue this shorter term bearish trend. So overall, the trend momentum still pointing in the bearish direction. Just be aware that occasionally we can bounce from support, play out some short-term bullish divergences, things like that, with some short-term bullish moves. But overall, for the next few weeks or possibly months, things are still looking a bit more bearish than they are bullish. And in the immediate short term here, we could find a little bit of resistance right here at around 109,500 based on this previous low here, based on the candle closes at around 109,500, now acting as new resistance. And then above that, we do have a bit of resistance here at roughly 113,000. But like I said earlier, really the key levels is 110,000, 112,000, and 117,000 as very critical levels of resistance on the price chart. And so overall, just over the next one day, I'll not be surprised if we see some sort of just slight little relief like this, just simply due to the fact that we already played out a pullback over the last 1 day or so. Usually after a decent little pullback in the short term, we see just a slight little relief like this, as we could see, but we're still in a short-term bearish trend. So maybe we play out just a slight little bounce, not massive bullish momentum, and then maybe continue the bearish trend later on is a very likely scenario. And if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'll be taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive bonuses and enter into a 25,000 USDT prize pool simply just by trading crypto using that link. So if you want to get basically a bunch of free money from the exchange onto your BitNex account, you can do that just by trading crypto using that link below this video, but only if you use that link. If you don't use that link, unfortunately, you cannot claim any of these major free bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, BitNex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BitNex as an exchange, there's also Pinex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Pinex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some major bonuses. Like for example, if you simply just make an account, complete KYC, you get a free $50 bonus onto your Pinex account, free money from the exchange just by making an account, completing KYC using that link. It takes about 60 seconds to do this to get a free $50. And then also if you deposit $100, you get a $100 bonus, or if you deposit up to $10,000, you get a $1,000 bonus. But all of these major bonuses here are only available if you're using that link below this video to actually make your Pinex account. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. The links below this video to these exchanges to claim these major bonuses. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can access Pinex without KYC. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 1 month worth of price action, and right now we still have a lot of liquidity building at much lower levels, like for example around 91 to 92,000. And now on slightly smaller timeframes in the liquidation heat map, we still have that area of liquidity at just under 120,000, like 119,000 for example. So keep that in mind as well, but also keep in mind the momentum and the trends that we are currently in, which means it's unlikely we're going to just shoot straight up towards 120,000 to take at that short-term liquidity there based on this alone, because we also have to consider all of these other factors that are affecting the price of Bitcoin, like for example this significant bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, massive bearish divergence on the daily time frame, the momentum still looking more bearish than it is bullish. All of this is pointing towards a continued cool off for the price of Bitcoin. So once again, we can see little short-term bounces, but it's unlikely we'll just shoot straight up towards these much higher levels straight away based on this alone. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the 3-day time frame, and right now the Bitcoin dominance is still in the pullback phase. We've not seen any bullish trend reversal signals actually confirm, which is still some good news for the altcoin market. Now, it may not look like it because a lot of altcoins against the US dollar are obviously pulling back, but that's because Bitcoin is of course pulling back in the short term. So if Bitcoin against the US dollar is pulling back, obviously that's going to affect a lot of the altcoin market. But if the Bitcoin dominance is also pulling back, it means a lot of the major altcoins out there are not necessarily doing all that worse compared to Bitcoin. Some of them may even be holding up a little bit better than what Bitcoin is doing, but maybe still going down a little bit against the US dollar. Because for example, if we see a major bullish move in the Bitcoin dominance while the Bitcoin price actually drops, that's very bad news for the altcoin market. That means altcoins would get absolutely obliterated against the US dollar if we see a major bullish move in the Bitcoin dominance. But for now, it's still looking okay for the altcoin market. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and like I've already been saying over the last half a week to almost 1 week now, expect the price of Ethereum to stay in this sideways price range, simply bouncing around sideways between support and resistance. So obviously this is still playing out as predicted and will likely continue at least over the next few days, maybe longer, maybe even a number of weeks, but at least the next few days is what I expect for the price of ETH to remain in this sideways price range. And in case you're new to the channel, the area of support and resistance I'm watching for is, first of all, this area of support in between around 3.9k to 4.1k, and this area of resistance in between around 4.8k to 4.9k. So right now the price is basically just bouncing around in that range between support and resistance. And so we can see the Bitcoin dominance pullback having an effect on Ethereum right now, because while Bitcoin is of course pulling back, not necessarily in the sideways price range, but more of a short-term bearish trend, while that's happening for Bitcoin, Ethereum is basically just bouncing around sideways, not necessarily in a bearish trend or anything. In fact, we're still in the longer-term bullish trend, but in the shorter-term trend, it's just basically a sideways price range, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, technically speaking, this bearish divergence is still active because we've not confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence, which means at least for now, continue to expect some weakness for the price, which means maybe we see a bit more choppy sideways price action, maybe even just a slight little pullback. But honestly, I don't expect necessarily a major crash for Ethereum, especially while the Bitcoin dominance is pulling back like this. Now, if we see a major bullish reversal in the Bitcoin dominance, then that would of course change the situation. We could see a lot more bearish price action for altcoins, but for now, we're not yet seeing that in the Bitcoin dominance, which means Ethereum could likely play out relatively neutral price action or very, very slight bearish price action if Bitcoin is of course continuing this pullback as we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days. And so those are still my expectations for Ethereum in the shorter term. Not much has changed, and of course the key levels to watch out for on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now technically the larger price structure is still looking bullish. We're still forming higher lows and higher highs. We've not yet confirmed any massive bearish trend reversal, but with that being said, of course over the last 1 day or so we have seen a bit of a short-term pullback along with a lot of the crypto market. But Solana is simply retesting again this area, sitting in between around 190 to 200, and so far we're still finding support at roughly 200, which at least for now is some good news to pay attention to. And once again, this is clearly showing that effect of the pullback in the Bitcoin dominance. While the Bitcoin dominance is pulling back, even if Bitcoin is pulling back, it means altcoins are still holding up okay, like we're seeing for Solana right now, still holding up pretty well, only just seeing a slight little pullback in the immediate short term. And if we're taking a look at the 6-hour Solana price chart, looking at the very short term here, we can see technically a new bearish divergence just now confirming with higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI. And so this means the price may end up just lacking bullish momentum for the next couple of days. So that could mean either some choppy sideways price action or maybe a slight little pullback, simply further retesting this area in between 190 to 200. But overall, just in the next 1 day, 1 to 2 days, expect a bit of a lack in bullish momentum momentum, so a bit of short-term weakness for the price of Solana, but once again, the larger price structure still currently looking bullish. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, like I warned about since almost all-time highs at around $3.40 around a month ago, we're still playing out a massive bearish divergence, which I've been saying since the beginning of August. Expect a pullback as a very likely scenario later in August, and especially leading into September, expect a larger pullback. And obviously at that time, around a month ago, almost no one believed me that this could possibly happen. Everyone was saying that I was crazy, but now it is starting to play out as predicted. We are starting to see a major pullback over the last few weeks and over the last 1 month. Just to give you an idea of what happened last time we confirmed this signal that is now playing out, the last time this happened was end of 2020, entering into early 2021 right here. And what came next was over a 60% pullback in the price of XRP over multiple months. So that's what happened last time this signal actually confirmed, which is now playing out for the price of XRP. So just keep that in mind. And so obviously this is telling us that we're most likely going to see a continued pullback, or at best just a lack in bullish momentum, most likely leading well into September. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, obviously we're trading back below this Fibonacci level, sitting at around 290, and we're also starting to break below these lows based on the daily candle closes, sitting at around 285, which is not very good news. And so for now, we have this short-term support sitting at around 275 to watch out for. And for now, we are finding a bit of support at roughly 275, but if we break below that level, we could likely drop back down towards this area based on previous significant resistance, now acting as new support, sitting in between around 255 to 262. And so once again, the immediate level is 275 to watch out for, but if we break that level, then that would be the next target towards the downside. And if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, we have a new descending triangle pattern, which is statistically a bearish price pattern. More often than not, most of the time, a descending triangle actually breaks to the downside because it is indeed bearish price structure. We're seeing lower highs but horizontal lows, which means the demand is relatively flat. Meanwhile, the sell pressure is increasing. But I want to make it clear, at least as of right now, we've not yet confirmed the break of this pattern, which means we've not confirmed any trading strategy or any price target for this pattern. But if we confirm a break below this line of support, then that will set up a bearish price target, of course. And first of all, this line of resistance is sitting at around $3.05. This line of support is sitting at roughly 275, give or take. And of course, if we're taking a look at the technical price target for this descending triangle pattern, if we first confirm a break below 275, especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, that would set up a bearish price target at around $2.18. So from the point of the break to that price target, that's more than a 20% move towards the downside with no leverage, or for example, 10x leverage short position, more than a 200% profit in that example, not financial advice. And so basically, if we lose this low right here, if we break below this previous low at roughly 275, give or take, that'll be very bad news for the larger price structure on the daily time frame, pointing towards much lower price targets to pay attention to. And obviously, this is pretty much exactly what I've been warning about every day throughout pretty much all of August. Since a month ago now on the channel, I've been warning about this larger slowdown, the larger pullback that we're currently seeing in the price of XRP. But of course, we can see short-term bullish moves from time to time, just very short-lasted move, lacking bullish momentum during the larger pullback. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now Chainlink is also playing out something similar. We're still cooling off a little bit, at least for now, and we're still struggling to get back above around $25. So continue to expect a lot of resistance in between around $24 to $25 approximately. And as for support, we do have a bit of support at roughly $23. But if we start breaking below that level, in that situation, we may even retest roughly $21.30 as the next point of support. But really in between around $20 to $21 is the next significant area of support to pay attention to. And only if we confirm a break back below around $20, only then, obviously, that would be a massive bearish trend reversal signal, a change in the larger price structure, not just the short-term situation, but potentially for the next few weeks or possibly months. That could be bad news for the price of Chainlink if we first break below $20 to $21. But for now, obviously, we're still holding above these levels, at least for now. And as for resistance, once again, still expect resistance at roughly $25, and of course at close to $27, as I've already been warning about since before before we exactly rejected from that point of resistance. And if we're taking a look at this daily Chainlink price chart, we're still playing out this bearish divergence as expected, ultimately causing a bit of a pullback and a lack in bullish momentum, the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And so, like I've already been warning about over the last 1 week, expect continued weakness for the price of Chainlink, at least over the coming days or possibly weeks, is a very likely scenario, because once again, that's the most common outcome from a bearish divergence, just lacking bullish momentum, maybe playing out a slight pullback. And so that is still the situation for Chainlink and the rest of the crypto market. Those are my expectations moving forward in the shorter term and the mid to longer term. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.